Welcome everybody to this month's project. This month's project is a flag end grain cutting board. To get started, we open our V-Carve probe up. We're going to have a double-sided object. The width is 17 inches, the height is 11 inches, and it is 1 3/8 inches thick. The material surface is going to be on the top. We're going to put our datum position in the center, flip between sides, and say OK. Now, the first couple things that we got to do here is that we have to establish where everything is going to be on our flag. So, the overall dimension of the flag is going to be 16 by 10. Apply that and we'll center it. And you want to make sure we center everything because we're going to orientate from the center of this to get our carving to look right. And I'll explain that a little bit later about what I'm talking about. So the next thing I want to do is lay out where the field for the stars are going to be. And that dimension is 7 3/4 by 5 3/8. We apply that, and where we're going to set this is up in the upper left hand corner. Okay, so this is where our stars are going to reside. Now I was talking about where we're going to orientate this thing eventually from on our CNC machine is really going to be from this corner, and what we're going to do is figure out how far this corner is from the absolute center of our blank. And the reason I say to do it that way on this particular situation is that you may have a blank that is a little bit different in size. So we have to have a very definite place to where the field is for our stars. Otherwise our stars are not going to be centered in this area here. So it's very important that we get this guy exactly where we want him to be. So make sure you're where you're supposed to be. And then we can sit there and measure over from this point to this point here, and that'll give us a dimension. And then we can go from this point to this point right here, and that'll give us a dimension. And that'll give us exactly, we can go on our CNC machine and go over from this point here, go over this much, go up this much, and we will know that our flag, as far as our field goes for the stars, is going to be exactly in the right place. So I'll explain that a little bit more when we get to the machining part, but I just kind of wanted to go over that a little bit right now. So here is my place for my stars. This is going to be where I have my stripes. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is make my stars. I already know that this dimension here should be 7 3/4, and then this dimension here should be 5 3/8. So according to what dimensions that the flag should be, when you go out and look at it, there are certain dimensions that you have to have it at. And I happen to go out, these are the standard proportions for the American flag. Well, I kind of looked at this and said, well, The hoist is the width of the flag, so we made it 10 inches. The fly length, if you go by the dimensions, should be 19 inches. Well, we made it a little bit shorter than that. And the width of the union, which I'm calling the field, is where the stars are, is a certain dimension. And then they say the diameter of the star is this size of this dimension here, which makes it about a half an inch. So our stars are going to be 0.6. So drawing, so I'm going to go over here, go to make a star. We want a 5-pointed star, and I'm going to start out with a half an inch and see what it looks like, because we're going to be a little bit smaller. So we're going to create, that is going to be way too big. So let's knock this down to 0.4 and see what that looks like. That looks a little bit better. So let's kind of go with that and see where this takes us. See where this is going to take us. So I'm going to come down here to this corner. Now, if I go back to my original drawing, you'll notice that these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across the bottom, and they're about 2 stars apart. So we'll go and back to our dimension, and we will do an array, and we will go with six. And if we go back to our flag here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 high. So we'll go 5 high. And we'll put the gap between them at 0.8. See where that takes us. See, that kind of blows us out of the stream here a little bit. So we now have one of two choices. We can either shrink the size of the arrow or bring these together a little bit more. Oh, that's not too bad. So that's those dimensions. Now we need to make some more. So let's copy that, paste it, and we're going to place that one right here. It's kind of like in the center of all of these. We'll go back to our grid. We'll need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4 high. So let's come down 1 for each of these, and let's see what we get here. Oh, not too bad. So now we have all of our stars in place. And if you want, you can stretch these out a little bit more. But I think I'm going to basically leave them there. And what I'm going to do, I'll go into one center. There we go. Now, I've got it right in the middle of the field. I'm happy with that. If you want to play with it more, you can play with it more. Now, I want to put a name on it or something. And that's 1 inch large, which is fine. We can set here and change the italics on it, or change whatever you want it to. I got it single line. You can go to True Font, go to Silverback Woodworking, or pick something that you choose. It looks like, okay, I'm good with that, whatever. So I got my text in here. Now I want to align my text. So I highlight it, click it. Now I can move it to wherever I want it to be. It kind of looks decent there. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's bring it back to our there we go. I like that there. So now we got our cutting board designed. The next step is do toolpaths. The toolpaths on this are pretty simple. All of these stars, we're going to do V-carve. We're going to sit there and put a flat depth on it at 60 thousandths. 1/4 inch V-bit. We don't need that there. And say we'll call it stars. And calculate it. And let's preview it. There's our stars all carved in. Again, if you want them bigger, smaller, whatever, you can go ahead and do that. That's not a problem. Let's go back and do our silverback. Again, I'm going to use the same idea. I'm going to use V-carve. Probably, yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that depth. Use that tool and put this as name and calculate it. And preview the toolpath. There we go. We're all done. Now we can sit there and save our toolpaths. Make sure you have the correct post processor. And since they're both the same, I can save them together as a file and put it into your cutting board file. And you're done. That's all we got to it on this side. Now, let's go to the other side, because on the other side we want to put handles on it. So again, let's make a couple rectangles. And what I usually do is I use a radius rectangle, and I'll make it an 1/8 inch radius. I will make the width 1 inch and the height 3 inches. Apply that, and then we will mirror that to the other side. So we have both of these here. Now, if I would have sat there and was really smart, I would have centered this first and then mirrored it. Okay, let's get rid of this one. We got our handles. You will notice that the handle is we're only carving out half of the handle here, or half of that radius, so it'll give it a 1/2 inch reveal underneath. Okay, so we'll go to pocket, do both of these, use a 1/4 inch end mill, or yeah, 1/4 inch ball nose, cut it out. We're going down about a 1/2 inch, and we're looking pretty good there. Again, you can use any size bit you want. I just picked a 1/4. And there you go. That'll be the handles. Again, remember, only about half of this will be the handle. And if you want to put something on the back as far as logos or stuff like that, you can do that too. Okay. Again, I'm going to save it. And we're basically done. Again, remember this is two-sided. So we'll see you in the building of the blank for this. That's the next